some more information on your Piaget and Erikson project. So you do have to discuss both the theories of Piaget and Erikson. However, for Erikson, you only need to go through age 18, right? His developmental theory goes all the way through adulthood. So you just need to do the stages of his theory from 0 to 18 years old. For each stage of both theories, you need to discuss a little bit about that stage, and then whatever show or movie clip you're picking, and remember, this can be a TV show, a documentary movie, one of those um, reality TV or actual families that like get followed around on TLC or whatever. It can be an animated, it can be cartoon, what? Use your imagination. Sky's the limit. But then when you pick a clip to match that stage of either Piaget or Erikson, you also need to talk about how that clip fits the stage. So you can't just put the clip and say, this is the clip for, like, initiative versus guilt, and expect everyone to figure out why it is an example of initiative versus guilt. Part of this is to describe the stage a little bit and make sure you understand the definition of the stage, but then also to demonstrate that you can actually take that definition and apply it to an actual kid or cartoon character and see that it applies and talk about how it applies. So again, you're basically just um, doing a developmental assessment, but instead of on kids in the hospital, you're doing it on kids and cartoon characters on TV and in movies. Um, so it's demonstrating your knowledge to me about Piaget and Erikson, both the basic definition and how to apply it to an actual kid, or in this case, a kid or a cartoon character. But then also, that will also help your classmates. That's why I'm having you watch too, is sometimes when we hear these developmental stages explained in different ways or applied to different kids or situation, it helps us to better understand it, or it clicks more, or someone explains it in a way or gives an example that resonates with us or makes more sense with us. So you can either do that where you separate Piaget and Erikson and talk about an individual stage, the definition, and then talk about how it applies to your video clip and then show your video clip. Or you can show your video clip and then talk about the stage and how it applies. Or break it up, talk about the stage, the definition, show the video clip, and then talk about how that video clip or how the stage applies to that video clip that you picked. Or some people will do where they'll do like infants, and they'll pick one video clip and then define the Piaget and the Erikson stage for infancy and talk about how that video clip demonstrates both Piaget, right, sensory motor, and Erikson, and the Erikson stage for infants in that one clip. So you're welcome to do that. That ends up meaning you have to find less clips, but you also have to find TV or movie clips that demonstrate both the Piaget and Erikson stages. And then think about how you want to break them up because they don't exactly align. But again, for each Piaget and Erikson stage, you need to give a brief description or define the stage and talk about how your movie clip or video TV show clip applies to that stage or why it's a good example of that stage. So a few examples I'm going to give you here. So in this example, this group talks about the stage first, then shows the video clip, then talks about why that video clip was a good example of the stage.
Next, we have the concrete operational stage, and this is up to 11.
Okay, so then in this example, they talk about the stage and how their video clip is a good example of the stage, and then they show the clip. However, what I wanted to make note of is even though they used a slide like the last group, they didn't put a lot of information on the slide. However, they talked a lot more about, they gave a lot more information and details in their presentation. Hang on with me, technology glitch. There we go.
So the fifth stage in Erikson's psychosocial development is
So you can see that even though this group only put a few things on the slide, a few bullet points, they gave a lot more details about the definition of the stage and how it applies to their video clip. And just for the sake of things making sense and you seeing different examples, I will show you their video clip.
crucial because you got everybody there, you guys.
Okay, so that's an example. The other thing I wanted to show you is why I kept moving the screen is I really encourage you to videotape your group, not just audio. It helps with um, practice having to talk about development, which you are going to have to do in real life as a child life specialist. We do your developmental assessments. The reason I make you do them in writing and do one of your developmental assessments also in VoiceThread is you will chart and document about kids' development, but you will also have to report on and talk about kids' development in care conferences and rounds and just like huddles and hallway meetings. So getting used to having to talk about a kid's development is important, or talk about development. And you are in a position where you're going to have to talk and informally present all the time, like on a daily basis. So practicing and getting used to not just verbally expressing yourself, but also non-verbally expressing yourself, and realizing that we do have nonverbal cues when we communicate. And in the age of technology before and after, but especially during and after COVID, we use WebEx and recorded presentations and Zoom and screencasts so much. If you're shy about being recorded on one of these like VoiceThreads or WebEx or whatever, I'd say now is time to step out of the comfort zone and get used to it, and especially in the safe zone of our small class and your small cohort of other child life peers. So I really encourage you to use the function on VoiceThread that is the video, not just audio recording yourself. That is this video. but for the sake of showing other people's examples that are outside of your cohort, that don't know you and you don't know them, I'm not trying to not show their actual video recording. And then the last example is where they picked a stage and then were able to pick a clip and apply both the Piaget and the Erikson stage to that same clip, which again you can do, and it's less video clips than you have to find, but you still have to talk about all the Piaget and Erikson stages, both in defining them and talking about how the clip is a good example for them. And then you have to find one clip that demonstrates both the Piaget and Erikson stage for each of the developmental levels. And again, like I said, figure out how you're going to match up or which way you're going to do. There's not the exact same number of Piaget stages as Erikson stages, right? So how you're going to match those all up. Or they don't exactly match up in years, I guess. Okay, and you can see in this group's example, they don't do a PowerPoint slide with the description of the stage or how it applies to their video clip, which is completely fine because they do an excellent job of articulating the information and still giving enough detailed information. So those are a few examples. I hope that is helpful. If you have any more questions about your Piaget or Erikson project, please do not hesitate to email me or set up a WebEx or in-office meeting with me.